This program is brought to you in part by SalCal Real Estate Connections.
Yes, welcome to Race in Action Today. We're here this week to cover the action from the Greenwich Concours d'Elegance, featuring great classic cars, vintage race cars, one-offs, yachts, and motorcycles. From the brass era on all the way up to today's supercars. Also, as an added attraction, there'll be a 3-day regatta of America's Cup 12-meter yachts. And boy, I'll tell you, if you don't think that's a full weekend, you better think twice about it. I think it's time to grab yourself a comfortable chair and relax. We're about to see what the Greenwich Concours d'Elegance is all about and the people who make it happen.
Yes, the Victrola is playing, and true to my word, we're going to have a show now about Ford products in this Model T with these wonderful people who put this together. I mean, look at the place settings. They're dressed period correct. The car was just outstanding. Beautiful Model T. Which really are starting to become very favorable with me, I'll tell you. I just love these older Model T brass era cars, and we're gonna be covering quite a few Ford cars, and they're all very special, and they all have kind of a storied past, and I'm sure you're gonna like the show. But I'll tell you, everybody should get out to this Greenwich Concours d'Elegance and see what it's all about.
Yes, we have Frank and Pat Wismer here to own this beautiful Model T, 1910, I believe, a touring car, and their friends. Could you want to introduce your friends, Frank?
It's Gwen and Parker Ackley, and they're with us to help create the ambiance of the early years of the 20th century.
Yeah, you're making me feel young, I'll tell you. You're dressed absolutely beautiful, and this, this display is gorgeous, and this car is something special, I have to tell you. Did you have this car restored?
Well, this car was restored, but we purchased it pretty much done. There were still some things that needed to be done, but it's pretty much the way you see it now.
Do you drive it much?
Well, I try to take it out in the nice weather at least once a week, get about 30 miles on it, spend about a half an hour out driving, exercise the vehicle.
Yeah, this, the history of these Model Ts is really something special. And I was very surprised, even in racing, which we cover a lot of vintage car events for racing, they have a special history. And I'll tell you, it always ceases to amaze me how many different ways these cars, the configuration they came in.
Yes, and they had them racing in the early teens up to 120 miles an hour. I don't think I'd want to go 120 miles an hour in a 1910 Model T touring car, but this car will go 55. The driving quickly is not the problem. The stopping is the problem. The
mechanical brakes?
Well, actually, the brake is around the transmission. They're also hooked up to mechanical brakes now. Emergency brake is mechanical. So you don't want to be going too fast and then stop in the rear seat of the car in front of you.
You don't have to worry about airbags in this car, right?
No, you don't. Yeah, not at all.
Now,
one other thing. This car turns 100 years old in 4 days. We're lucky enough to have the original build slip. So it's almost happy birthday.
Wow, that is really something special in itself. And I'll have to tell you, I love the color of it. It's just a beautiful, beautiful car. But I have to say, you're dressed quite well here. And is this your first time at this event?
Well, we've been here at Greenwich with our friends, the Ackleys, when they had their 1915 Dodge Brothers touring car here a couple years ago. So the turnabout's fair play.
Wow. Well, I just can't get over the different types of cars we see. I mean, you see just about everything here, you know, from the brass era right up to today's supercars, you know, and when I come here, I'm just like a kid in a candy store. I don't have to tell you. It's a good thing I leave my checkbook home.
Well, I think we're the same way, and you see one car and you think it's beautiful, then you pass on to the next car and you think it's even nicer than the last one. I mean, walking around here today, it's like every car seems more beautiful than the last one.
Yeah, we're certainly going to have a good time, and I have a feeling you're going to have a good time too. We want to wish you luck and thank you for having a word with us, and I have a feeling you're going to do very well at this event.
Well, thank you, and have a lovely day.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. You were excellent. Thank you. Nice meeting you. Nice. Take care. Hey, have fun.
All right, you too.
Yes, we have Ralph Morano here, who owns this beautiful 1938 Lincoln V12. And I'll tell you, Ralph, I have never, ever seen a car like this.
Thank you. You won't. It's the only one ever built.
Wow.
It was custom built for a Lincoln dealer in Buffalo, New York. It's a one-of-a-kind.
It's a one-of-a-kind. And where did it start life? I mean, the owner, was he from the Buffalo area, or?
He was a large Lincoln dealer in Buffalo, and he had this car built for when the executives would come to drive him around. He has a full bar in the back, footrests, division window, everything for them to drive him around when they came into town.
Now, who was the bodybuilder?
LeBaron.
Okay, yeah.
One of the designers, Bob Cotto, designed it, and LeBaron did all the modifications. And there's nothing on it that looks like a Lincoln. Everything is modified. Everything is custom. The only thing that's Lincoln is the dashboard and the steering wheel.
Now, the engine, was that a specific Lincoln product too, or no?
The engine and the chassis were Lincoln V12. A Lincoln V12 chassis, that's what they started out with, and a regular convertible sedan, and modified it from there.
I can't imagine what this car cost back then. Do you have any idea?
There's no records on the exact cost of what it was, but from going by what he did, it was kind of no holds barred. Just do what you got to do and just call me when it's done.
Wow. It is stunning, I'll tell you. I've seen a lot of cars. This place is gorgeous. Just to come to this event is something special. But this car is something special. I'll tell you, I have never seen a car that really stands out. The classic lines of it and the color. I love the color, too. I mean, I have to really commend you on what you've done here.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I mean, everything on this car, if you look, is stuff that came out 3-4 years later. A LaSalle grill, the headlights and the fenders. The car was way ahead of its time when it was built.
Yeah, you could see that. Well, I'm sure you're going to do well here today, but I think you're going to have some fun, too.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, good luck, Ralph, and I hope we catch you on down the road.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Again.
You were excellent.
Now, how special was this car? A 1938 Lincoln with a special body. The car was just stunning. Yeah, timeless. That's a great marker plate for this beautiful 57 Thunderbird. We're going to interview Joseph and Arlene, who own this car. And believe me, this car is something special. That red color just makes it gorgeous.
Absolutely gorgeous 57 Thunderbird. I'll tell you, if this doesn't take you back to your childhood, I don't think anything will. And I got a feeling you know a few things about this car, Joseph.
Yes, I do. This is a factory triple red 1957 Thunderbird. And I purchased the car with relative low miles, about 37,000. And I'm still in possession of the original salesperson's business card, the original factory invoice, which denotes all the details on the car, and also the retail bill of sale where the gentleman traded in his 1953 Nash to purchase this car.
Wow, you certainly have some history on this car.
Well, that's the fun part of collecting and being in the hobby, is having, of course, an interest in the era of the car and obviously in the car itself. And this is perhaps one of the most iconic cars of the 1950s. Sportiness, luxury, and performance all in one package. And people seem to enjoy it as much as we do.
Now tell me, did it take long to redo the car?
We've redone the car a couple of times with the primary interest in making the car perform and behave safely on the road. and that permitted us to show the car in concourse venues. But most importantly, we like to enjoy the car, driving it, showing it and sharing it with the public, and it's a real blessing to be able to be in the hobby.
Yes, I have to believe Arlene has a kind of an attraction to drive this car. Am I thinking right?
Of course. It's the color itself speaks of the attraction, and it's fun and it's fast to go driving in, and it's safe, so why not?
Yeah, I'll tell you, growing up, I can remember these cars, and they were always a favorite car of mine. Unfortunately, I never owned one. But I could just I could.
Your checkbook?
Yeah, I owned one. That's why I said not yet, but they are a favorite car of mine, and the history of these cars is very interesting. Now, does it have a 312, this car?
This is a 312 V8 with a Holley 4-barrel carburetor. It's factory rated at 245 horse. And of course, the third year of this car, which is the 57, has with it the most improvements technologically that the line saw. After 1957, the car became a 4-seater, and Ford Motor Company capitalized on the name, selling 3 times the number of cars in 58 than they sold in 57. So it's a big success story for the company, and the brand continues to have actually worldwide appeal.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. The change in point, they call them the square birds, if I'm not mistaken. These cars are very unique. I'm sure that they drive differently too, because the other car has to be much heavier, and it's a different type of a car.
Yeah, I've driven both, and actually the 57 remains a very sporty, good handling car. Of course, you have to keep the cars properly tuned and properly maintained to enjoy them at their maximum. But in our organization, which is ctci.org, an international organization, you'll find these cars being driven in Australia, Europe, all around the world, South America, Mexico, of course, across the United States. So apparently the iconic nature of the car has had a worldwide appeal and continues to attract new owners at this point in time as well.
Yeah, I've noticed that even the aftermarket people have now, they just about make everything you would want for these cars, so that's telling you something.
Yeah, they do make as much as you would need to restore and maintain the car. It's also interesting in the hobby if you can find examples that don't require so many of those modern items to restore the car. Again, we're proud of the fact that this car is born with all of its original sheet metal, maintains that original body today, and thankfully drives just as nicely. We're really only the 4th owners of the car in its entire history. We're actually the 2nd set of owners to really drive the car.
Well, I have to commend you. You certainly have done an outstanding job with this car, and we know that you're probably going to do very well at this event, but I think you're going to have more fun doing it.
Well, we come to the events to enjoy meeting people and enjoy showing the car. The recognition comes in the conversations, really.
Absolutely. It's all about this car hobby is something special, I'll tell you. We find ourselves waking up in the middle of the night to travel hours and hours to see some of these events, and we're never disappointed.
Well, we appreciate hearing that, and it's the reason why we get up early in the morning to drive distances to show the cars. So it's always a great time in the sun, and we certainly appreciate you visiting with us as well.
Thank you very much. You were excellent.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks a lot.
All
Nice
the best.
meeting you.
My
The
pleasure.
best.
Good luck. Thank you so much.
Yes, we're about to interview Terry about this beautiful 68 California Special.
Yes, we have Terry Terden here, who's with this absolutely gorgeous 1968 California Special Mustang. And I'll tell you, Terry, I don't know what's prettier, you or this car.
Gee, thanks. Thank you very much. I think the car, though.
Yeah?
I'll take the car.
Now, is this car yours or?
This is mine and my husband's.
You and your husband? Yeah.
Yes.
Who drives it the most?
It's a toss-up. I do a lot, and he does a lot. We share.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, with that red hair, you kind of fit into this thing, but it's a gorgeous car. Now, did you restore this car?
We just had the car repainted. It came from the original owner from California, and we had it shipped to us when we found it, and he did everything to the car. He kept it in mint condition, so we just had the car repainted.
Now, are Mustangs something you've always been interested in?
Always. My first car was a Mustang, and we have 5 altogether now.
Wow. Are they like pre-70s?
Yes, we have 4 68s and we have 166 convertible.
Wow. I'm envious. I'll tell you, I love them. You know, it was when I just got out of high school, I had a 65 Fastback when they first come out, and I'll tell you, they're a favorite car of mine. I'm always attracted to them no matter where we go. We go to vintage car racing events up at Lime Rock, and the Shelby cars that are always up there racing, and these California specials, too, are always an attraction to us. You know, we don't see them that often. They're kind of rare, too.
They are. There's only about 3,800 of them that were made in 68, and there's probably less than 1,000 left now.
And this is the original color?
Yes, original color, original interior, everything, original engine.
It's a 289 or a
302?
Yeah. And you ever had a chance to go to the drag strip?
Years ago, we used to go to Englishtown.
Is that right?
In New Jersey, yep.
Yeah, I know myself, I have Mustangs in the 5.0 era, they call them, in the 80s. And we do race, or did race, a 5.0 and had a lot of fun with it. And I'd love to find another 65 Fastback like I had. You know.
Very nice, very nice.
You just never forget those
No,
cars,
no, not your first car. You never do.
No. But we want to thank you for your interview, and I have a feeling you're going to have some fun here today.
Oh, I can't wait. Can't wait. We'll see how the rest of the day goes.
Well, good luck, and I'm sure we'll be running into you down the road.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Terry. You were excellent. Yes, we have Randy Anderson with us, kind of a rare occasion because he was actually owned this car at a very early stage. I think you know a little bit about this car, Randy. Tell me how you acquired it.
I bought it in 1969 from a Ford dealer in Youngstown, Ohio. I had about 8,000 miles on it. I drove it as my daily driver for about 5 years, and I parked it and held on to it. I moved it from garage to garage. Every time I moved it, I get a phone call from Bob or somebody say, "What are you going to do with that car? What are you going to do with that? You going to sell that?" So finally I moved it one time, and they started calling again. I said, "Well, we'll talk about it." You know, that's what happened. About 3 years ago, he showed up and we made a deal. So
yeah, they're a very special item, and he did an excellent job restoring the car. I mean, it's beautiful. What attracted you to the car originally?
I was a Mustang guy, a Ford guy. I had looked through car stuff and decided this was the car that I wanted, and I went out and found it.
Well, I'll tell you, Randy, it's no secret that I am a Mustang guy. I did get involved with, I have 3 of them, but they're the 5.0 era cars in the 80s. I have the original 82, the Boss Was Back car, you know, and but my original Mustang was a 1965 Mustang. I did buy brand new Fastback when I was just getting out of high school, and I'll tell you, they just never left my mind, you know.
My first was a 64 and a half Mustang. It was just, you know, like a fun car to drive. I just always enjoyed them.
Yeah, they're just something special, and everybody kind of could afford one. That was the biggest thing, and the following they have is just phenomenal. I've gone to the Mustang reunions they have every 5 years, and the people there, it's unbelievable. I mean, they come from Europe to this event, you know?
It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. How do you think this car would do at one of those big shows?
Oh, I think it would do excellent. I really do. This car is really a nice car.
Beautiful.
You know, Concours is, I mean, when you bring a car here, believe me, it's going to be good.
Yeah.
So, the event here, number one, is excellent. I'm just at awe what I see here. I don't know what to look at next. Matter of fact, my cameramen kind of get mad at me because I want to talk to everybody.
Right. One more car.
Yeah. And well, we have fun. The automobile hobby is alive and well, and the Mustang enthusiasts are something special. I know I've been involved with them a number of years, and sooner or later, I know I'm going to get back that 65 Mustang.
Well, good luck. Good luck.
Well, we want to thank you for having a word with us, and I'm sure we're going to be talking to you down the road sometime.
All right, very good.
Thanks a lot, Randy. You were excellent.
Yeah.
This 68 Shelby Mustang convertible was just outstanding. And I'll tell you, with that 428 motor under the hood, it just looks menacing. The car is just absolutely gorgeous, and I'd love to park it in my garage. Yes, we're about to interview Howard Mintz, who owns this beautiful GT Ford.
Yes, we have Howard Mintz with us, who owns this gorgeous Ford GT. Very pretty colors, too, I might add. And I got a feeling you may know a few things about this car. What could you tell us about it?
Well, first of all, I can't believe I own it. I still pinch myself when I go down to the garage and I find a Ford GT in it. I went to look at Ford GTs some years ago, and I went with a friend of mine, and he was there to make sure I didn't do anything stupid. And he flunked. He flunked, and I fell in love with the car. I fell in love with the color. They're not all that rare. They made them in 2005 and 2006, about 2,000 each year. About 500 to 700 went to Europe, Japan, Canada. There have been about 500 that have been crashed here. You got to be careful. So that leaves about 2,800 to 3,000 still in the United States. So they're not real rare, but they're pretty unusual.
Now, where are you from to begin with?
I'm from North Jersey in the Wayne-Pompton Lakes area, Route 23, Route 46.
Mm-hmm. Now, is there a favorite area you like to drive this car?
Anywhere is a favorite area. It's certainly a highway car as well as a secondary road car. I take it out whenever I get the chance. I haven't taken too many long trips with it. Car only has about 5,000 miles on it, but I put on about 4,000 of them in the last 2 years, so I'm doing my part.
Did you ever have any thoughts of bringing it to a place like Lime Rock where they actually will let you go out there and have some fun?
Many other Ford GT owners have taken it to the track to kind of a driver's ed event, not a competitive event. I have not done so. I have an old Porsche that I sometimes do that with, so I don't have to put this car at risk of getting a chip or losing a windshield. But they're very, very competent on the track. And the car is extremely reliable. Many of my fellow Ford GT owners talk all the time, and none of us really have any trouble with the car. The engine is bulletproof. Ford did a terrific job with this.
Yeah, there's a great motor in the car, and the car's history, where it originally came from, is certainly a storied history.
It's really surprising that Ford decided to do a tribute to the original $1 million cars, the GT40s of the 60s that won Le Mans. And by redoing this car in the mid-2000s, they really wanted to create a tribute for their 100th anniversary in 2003. And when they gave the engineers the go-ahead, they only had 15 months to put it together. Wow. And they put together an extremely talented group and gave them carte blanche to get the job done. And they managed to do it. The first press cars were available in time for the centennial in 2003.
Well, we're certainly glad you brought the car here. They always have a lot of attention. No matter where we go, we always love to go over and take a look at them, and it never ceases to amaze me. One looks better than the other. I mean, it's just a great design.
Well, thank you. The greatest pleasure I have with the car is sharing it with other people, so this is a terrific day for me, too.
Well, we hope you have a great day here, and we wish you luck, and maybe we'll run into you up at Lime Rock one of these days.
That'd be great, Larry. Thank you.
Thank you, Howard. You're great.
Very good.
Yes, looking at the cockpit of this Ford GT, it sure looks like it's an interesting car to drive. And yeah, that speedometer goes to 220. Boy, would I love to test that to see if that could happen. Well, the next segment of the show on the Greenwich Concours, the Elegance, we are going to try to cover the larger classic cars like Packards, something similar to the car you're seeing here, which was just an absolutely gorgeous car. We're going to have an interview with its owner, and we're going to try to fit in as many as we can in the next show, because the show really had a lot of these types of cars. They were always a crowd favorite, especially the Packards. I mean, they were probably one of the best cars you could buy in the era there. And there's some very interesting cars we're going to get into that really have a real storied history. And I'm sure you're going to find the show interesting.
Yes, we come to the conclusion of our show today, and I hope everybody's enjoyed it as much as we did producing it. It's sure been an outstanding event here at the Greenwich Concours d'Elegance, and I want to thank our crew, Billy Majak, Dwayne Cody, David Seilinger, for all the great work they do. And last of all, and most of all, I want to thank you, the viewers, for being with us on Racing Action Today.
This program is brought to you in part by SalCal Real Estate Connections. Special thanks to the Racing Action Today crew: Dwayne Cody, Billy Majak, David Seidlinger, Lisa Backus, and Luis Gonzalez. Also, we want to thank our home station, Nutmeg TV, for all their support.